Hello everyone, and welcome to another Genshin lore video. Today, I'll be going over the origins of Fontaine's Pneumousia, or Arkhe Power, and what the nation was like before it was introduced. This lore is given to us through the construction series of weapons, as well as a few other sources found around the game. Also, this video does contain spoilers for the quests listed on screen now, so if you haven't done those, you have been warned. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. Before we get into what Fontaine was like before Arkhe Power, I want to talk about why it's so important to Fontaine in the present day. Arkhe Power is a system composed of two opposing energies, Pneuma and Osea. Pneuma is represented by a light color, while Osea is represented by a dark color. Traces of these energies can be found all across Fontaine, and vision wielders from Fontaine can even use them naturally. In fact, a Fontaine character's vision casing is different depending on if they can use Pneuma, Osea, or both. Of course, characters who don't possess a Fontaine vision can still use Arkhe Power thanks to the Pneuma and Osea blocks scattered around Fontaine. Now, when Pneuma and Osea are used by a character, they unleash it in the form of a sword-like attack. While using Pneuma, this attack is called a Spirit Breath Thorn, and while using Osea, this attack is called a Surging Blade. When Pneuma and Osea energies meet, they create an annihilation reaction. This reaction, and Arkhe Power in general, is likely based on matter and antimatter, as when a particle of one meets the other, they annihilate each other. Anyways, this reaction can be used in a variety of ways across Fontaine. It can be used to stun Clockwork Mecha or Breacher premises, it can solve certain puzzles, and it can activate certain devices around the nation. Outside of combat and exploration, Arkhe Power can be used to power a variety of technologies and make work easier for the people of Fontaine. After the events of the Fontaine Archon quests, the Hydra Sovereign Neuvillette gained full control over Pneumousia, suggesting a fundamental link to Fontaine. So then, what was Fontaine like before Arkhe Power existed? To answer that question, we have to take a look at a group of weapons introduced to us in version 4.1. These four weapons fall under the construction series, and they provide a glimpse into life in Fontaine before Pneumousia. Back then, manual labor was still a big thing in Fontaine. While Clockwork Mecha existed at the time, they were quite primitive compared to the models seen in the present day. They were not as useful and were also not very efficient. In that time, they were seen as nothing more than curiosities and indulgences. In place of the Clockwork Mecha, a variety of tools were used. The first of these tools was the Claymore Portable Power Saw. This weapon was a chainsaw used to cut through keels and pipes. Thanks to its simple and sturdy structure, swapping out parts was relatively easy, making it very popular. It would be used in projects all across Fontaine, including the construction of the Fleuve Cendra. Funnily enough, this tool also played a role in the early production of Clockwork Mecha, which would go on to replace it. Now, the next tool was the Polearm Prospector's Drill. This was a powerful drill that was said to be able to pierce through rocks like a hot knife through butter, making it quite a useful tool. It would be utilized by stonemasons, construction workers, and more people all across Fontaine. However, as time went on, more restrictions were put in place and unauthorized possession of this tool became prohibited. Soon, it would become a rarely seen commodity, a relic of a previous age. Moving on to the next tool though, we have the Bow Range Gauge. This tool will be utilized in both construction and ruin exploration alike, and was even used during expeditions to Remuria. It used special arrows that flew incredibly straight, allowing for angles and distances to be measured with ease. Additionally, this tool could be used in criminal investigations, which can be seen in the Herlock novels in Fontaine. However, the special arrows that the tool used are no longer produced, leaving this bow as an antique. Now, the final tool of the set would be the sword, the Dockhand's Assistant. This tool would find many uses among dock workers, hence the name, as it allowed them to cut through thin materials and untie knotted cables. Similarly to the portable power saw, swapping out parts was relatively easy, making it quite a popular tool. Despite its popularity, however, not many people owned one. Instead, they were passed around under the table and borrowed by many different people. According to legend, this sword would find a new use during the Purge of Fleuve Cendra, which may have led to regulations on this tool as well. Eventually, all of these tools would stop seeing use, which leads us to the origins of Pneumousia. Around 500 years ago, a genius by the name of Alain Guillotine would invent the Arkhe system. By this time, Alain had already founded the Fontaine Research Institute of Kinetic Energy Engineering, which helped further his research into technology. Before all this though, he worked for the Pneumousia Phantom, along with his sister, Marianne Guillotine. During this time, he created a mechanical assistant prototype that was able to think and speak on its own. He would name this invention Seymour, and tasked it to protect his sister. The tales of this machine would be passed through the ages, and it inspired engineers of Fontaine to create artificial intelligence, though none succeeded. Anyways, the Pneumousia Phantom would soon be called to Elenus to deal with and arrest members of the Narcissan Kreis Ordo. Alain, Marianne, and Seymour would all head off to Elenus, and a battle would soon begin. In the ensuing fight, an explosion would go off, killing Marianne and greatly damaging Seymour. I talked about this story more in my video on the Pneumousia Hunter artifact set, so I recommend checking that out if you want to know more. Now, shortly after the battle within Elenus, Alain would leave the Pneumousia Phantom. As mentioned earlier, he would go on to found the Fontaine Research Institute. During his tenure here, he would invent the Arkhe system, which would greatly benefit Fontaine and allow it to prosper. Alain would eventually seclude himself in his lab up until his death, though what he built during this time is currently unknown. Getting back to Pneumousia though, its introduction to Fontaine allowed for more efficient clockwork mecha to be built, which would replace the tools used in the past. It also helped Fontaine's technology advance quite a bit, and its influence can be felt all the way into the modern day. Its presence has affected the vision casings of Fontaine, it allowed for incredible machines to be built, and so much more. Without this power, Fontaine would be nothing like it is today. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the lore of Pneumousia and the Construction Weapon series. I really like this lore, as it shows that Fontaine wasn't always this advanced, and how the people of the past worked to help the future generations have an easier life. If you want more Fontaine lore though, I recommend my videos on Pneumousia Hunter, Golden Troop, Song of Days Past, and Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods. With all that said, I would love to hear what other bits of lore you'd like me to cover in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.